the Cosatu news headlines today, Nehau members begin lunchtime pickets at the University of Pretoria. SATU settles the dispute for technical and vocational education and training lecturers, and DENOSA prepares to commemorate International Nurses Day. The National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union is preparing for a full-blown strike at the University of Pretoria after salary wage negotiations deadlocked. Nehau members at the university had two mass meetings on the 5th and the 8th of May 2017 to get a mandate and map a way forward. Both meetings were preceded by prior meetings with the university in the bargaining forum. The deadlock was reached on the 19th of April 2017, and Nehau was subsequently issued with a certificate to strike by the CCMA. Meetings with the university's senior management and vice-chancellor were held but did not yield any positive results to avert the situation. The union, in its general meeting, decided to have lunch hour pickets while serving the notice to strike. Nehau's demands to the university are as follows. An initial demand was 10%, which was later moved to 8%, while the university only offered 7% plus a 3,000 Rand once-off payment. The introduction of a 13th check, however, the offer is to introduce it in 4 years' time, but the employer is refusing to bargain on modalities. The introduction of more medical aid scheme options, as the current option is expensive for workers. And lastly, the review of post-retirement medical aid. Nehau said that failure to resolve these issues in the next coming few days will mean that workers will be left with no option but to go on a full-blown strike. Details of the strike will be communicated when the strike is about to commence. The South African Democratic Teachers Union this week reached a settlement agreement with the Department of Higher Education and Training that will see all technical and vocational education and training college lecturers being paid their outstanding pay progression on or before the 30th of June 2017. The agreement was reached on the 9th of May at the Education Labour Relations Council. The settlement agreement comes after months of wrangling between SATU and the Department of Higher Education and Training. On the 19th of September 2016, SATU declared 3 disputes with the department. The disputes are as follows: failure or refusal to bargain, incorrect salary notches, and the payment of a 1% pay progression. The incorrect salary notches matter is set for arbitration on the 25th and 26th of May 2017, and the failure and refusal to bargain matter is set for arbitration on the 22nd of May 2017. The South African Municipal Workers Union Greater Johannesburg held a mass general meeting on the 11th of May 2017 at the Beyers-Naudé Square Media Library. Following the general meeting, SAMU and its members delivered a memorandum of demands to the city. Their demands included adherence to labor laws, in particular collective bargaining, the sitting of LLFs, harmonization of conditions of service before the process of reintegration of municipal-owned entities begin, salary progression, and lastly, the absorption of all contract workers, EPWP, security, and cleaning staff. The National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union has been meeting with the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University management for the past 2 months for salary negotiations, and so far the negotiations have deadlocked. Nehau members at the university are demanding a living wage and want their salaries to be incremented by 6.4% non-negotiable plus 4% negotiable for living enhancement across the board. Management only made an offer of 3%, which Nehau and the other unions roundly rejected. The matter was then taken to the Ombudsman for legal advice and for opinion, and it was agreed by all parties that the increment would have to be above CPI, in line with the condition of service, yet the university management only moved from 3% to a mere 5.4%, but the workers also rejected this offer. Last week, the cleaning staff downed tools because even after the sectorial determination increment for the cleaning sector, Supercare still continued to deduct workers' salaries. Nehau said that failure to resolve the current impasse will leave workers with no choice but to go on a full-blown strike. The Constitutional Court last week handed down a judgment on the matter between the unions and the Department of Home Affairs. The matter relates to the deadlock that occurred between the unions and the Department of Home Affairs in relation to the introduction of Saturday work by the department. The Department of Home Affairs refuses to compensate the Saturday work and to put mechanisms in place to help workers to perform their duties when they report for duty on Saturdays. This led to a protracted dispute between the two parties that also involved both the Labour Court and the Labour Appeal Court. The matter ultimately ended up at the Constitutional Court. The leave to appeal was brought about by the Department of Home Affairs to the Constitutional Court after the unions won its review application in the Labour Court and the Labour Appeal Court. The court held that invoking the right to strike may relate to a matter of mutual interest and therefore confers a right to recourse to arbitration or the Labour Court under Section 65(1)(c) of the Labour Relations Act. However, this determination is separate and does not define the jurisdiction of a conciliator, nor prevent this conciliator from attempting to reconcile the dispute, or in failing to do so, certify that the dispute remains unresolved. The court also dismissed the application submitted by the Department of Public Service and Administration for leave to intervene as a second applicant, on the basis that its explanation for late intervention was inadequate. Its arguments were similar to those of the Department of Home Affairs, and evidence tendered did not comply with the courts. Nehao said that it will also be corresponding to the Council to urgently convene the conciliation to attend to the demands that were presented to the employer, which are the provision of child care facilities, transport and other safety measures for all employees working on Saturdays and Sundays, shift allowance, and the reversal of all disciplinary findings and the reimbursement of all employees who were subjected to leave without pay. Lastly, the Democratic Nursing Organization of South Africa in the Western Cape will lead thousands of nurses in commemorating International Nurses Day. This event will take place on Saturday, the 13th of May, at the showgrounds in Beaufort West. The theme for this year's International Nurses Day is Nurses, a Voice to Lead, Achieving Sustainable Development Goals. DENOSA First Deputy President Modise Letsatsi, stakeholders, and DENOSA provincial leadership will address nurses about the many challenges that the profession is faced with in the province. For media RSVP or for more information, contact DENOSA Communications Manager Sibongiseni Delihlazo on 072-584-4175 or 079-875-2663. And that is all the labor news we have for you today. Happy Friday, comrades.